Hi everyone, great to see you all again. Welcome to the latest in our LinkedIn Live Leadership Series. I'm Barry Winkless, CSO of CPL and head of the Future Work Institute. I'm delighted today to be joined by Jaswinder Ahuja, Corporate Vice President, International Headquarters at Cadence Design Systems.
Hey Barry.
Hi Jaswinder, lovely to see you.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Great. Jaswinder, I really want to start, I suppose, by asking you about this phenomenal career you've had in Cadence Design Systems. I know we spoke about this when we last met. I'd love to know a little bit about your journey from basically systems engineer all the way up to a very senior vice president in a highly innovative organization. So I'd love to know about your career journeys. I'm sure all the people watching would like to know as well.
Thanks, Barry. Barry, it's been a wonderful journey and a very exciting journey for me personally. I started as a software engineer straight out of graduate school back in 1988. It's
Wow.
been 33 years, and I often say that I've had the opportunity to do over a dozen different jobs without ever leaving the company. Cadence is one of those organizations that loves to give people opportunities. And if you've got a great idea, you're passionate about it, and you can make a convincing case to management, they'll always support you in whatever adventure you want to embark upon. And I've had, I think, just a wonderful set of opportunities over that 33-year period of time, starting with the software engineer, getting into management roles, working on R&D globalization, organizational culture, sales, customer support, you name it.
You're like the fixer of Cadence Design Systems, I think, Jaswinder, is the way I'm kind of describe you from this moment on. I suppose, Jaswinder, just in terms of Cadence itself, there's been a really interesting evolution as a business, and I suppose I'm kind of interested in kind of where Cadence is today, and what's the North Star that's guiding you guys, into the future as a business globally?
Yeah, no, great question, Barry. So, we are traditionally in the business of what we call electronic design automation, which is software and solutions that are used by any company that's doing semiconductor design, chip design, electronic system design. So that's the traditional business that we've been in, and we are the technology and market leader in that space. And as you can well imagine, right, if you look at the evolution of semiconductor, the pervasiveness of semiconductors and the ubiquitousness of electronics in our lives, we can see the advances that have been made over that period of time. And so there are immensely complicated and complex problems that need to be solved in the process of design, and we enable our customers to do that. Going forward, what we are observing is that there is a complete explosion in the data that's getting created, and it's partly a virtuous cycle. The more electronics, gadgets, and sensors and devices that are out there, the more data gets generated. And to process that data, we need more compute capability, and we need a lot more, going forward, data analytics and artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So we are moving towards an intelligent, connected world. That's really the future. And from a Cadence perspective, right, it is intelligent system design is the future roadmap, building on our 30 plus years of expertise in computational software. We've carved a path for ourselves that says we'll build on our core competency and expertise in EDA, but extend that to system analysis and into this new intelligent reality.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world, just given everything is becoming more and more and more connected, over the kind of, over the next number of years. And, I was interested in some of your talks, and presentations where you talk about this idea of more than more, this idea that's not just about Moore's law, it's about other things that are happening that are kind of driving us towards change. Can you tell us just a little bit more about that? I should say, anybody interested in that, definitely check out Jaswinder's kind of great presentation he does on YouTube from last year. Just a bit of a promotion for you there, Jaswinder. But I am interested in that more than more concept. So can you tell us a bit about those other things, that are kind of happening to kind of drive this connected future?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, before I speak about more than more, let's just recap what Moore's law is. So Gordon Moore of Intel postulated the Moore's law back in 1979, which said that the number of transistors on a piece of silicon will exponentially double every 24 months. And in reality, that's been happening almost every 18 months. And Moore's laws had a long run, almost over 40 years, almost 50 years, in fact. The Moore's law has scaled very nicely. And today, when we talk about process geometries, right, we are flirting with the limits of physics.
Yeah.
7 and 5 nanometer are in production. We know that the leading foundries in the world are working on 3 and 1 nanometer process technology. And CMOS technology, as we know it, will eventually at some point come to a standstill, right? But there are other things like quantum computing and the like that are in research that will take off. There is a second vector that started off a few years ago, which we refer to as more than more. And that is all around saying that it's not just about CMOS scaling. There are other trends in how we can do more, if you will, build more complex SoCs. And that is about using multiple different substrate, bringing in digital and analog in the same chip using techniques like 3D stacking, bring in sensors, bring in RF technology. So truly realizing the vision of a system on a chip, and in the real sense of the word, on a single chip. So that vector that started off a few years ago is called what we refer to as more than more. And there are, again, lots of innovations and lots of technologies, both at our customer and partner end, as well as at Cadence, to enable that journey.
It's fascinating, Jaswinder. And sir, I suppose that kind of comes to my next question. We do a lot of work in the Future Work Institute around this kind of importance of creativity and curiosity into really designing this future-proof firm. I'm kind of interested in your own perspectives on how you as a leader and other leaders in Cadence are kind of driving that creativity and curiosity into the culture of the business, as problem solvers, as designers, and all of those things in between. I'd love your perspectives on how you guys are doing that.
So, Barry, I mean, the business that we are in, we are solving some of the most complex problems for our customers. And innovation really is the lifeblood of everything we do. So, I mean, we need to absolutely, having a culture of innovation is an imperative for us. It's not really a matter of choice. So the big question is, how do we foster a culture of innovation? It begins by, first of all, encouraging people to think out of the box, empowering them to take calculated risks, celebrating failures that lead to learning and more innovation in the future. So there's a set of things that we try to do that help us foster and build a culture of celebration. And then, of course, recognize and celebrate innovation in many different ways, be it patent awards, encouraging people to publish papers, internally recognize those who create breakthrough solutions for our customers. So I think that those are just a few of the pieces of the puzzle that are necessary to build this culture of innovation.
Thanks, Jaswinder. I have to say, Jaswinder, I've been reading some of your articles, not stalking you exactly, I wouldn't call it social stalking, but, I've been reading some of your better articles, shall we say.
And one that I really
can't. The one that you've written that was good. No, I'm only joking. The one that really resonated with me was this kind of, the kind of 10 traits of a terrific manager. Just given the audience that are listening to us today, I'm just interested in kind of, some of the ones that you'd like to kind of pull out. What are those kind of 3 or 4, traits or principles that you've seen that make a kind of terrific leader or manager, in your own career, I suppose, to date? Yeah,
no, absolutely. So, Barry, and the fundamental premise there is that, to be a great manager, you got to start. It's not rocket science. It's fairly simple, fairly intuitive. It's back to the basics kind of a thing. It all starts by treat people the way you want to be treated yourself. Right? So you're going to ask yourself the question, what is it that you look for in your own manager? Right? You need somebody that you want somebody that you can trust, that they've got your back, they've got your best interest at heart. Right? That's the fundamental, most important thing. They care about your development and growth. They care about the organizational success and connecting your personal journey to that of the organization's success, right? They are, by definition, what I refer to as ambidextrous, in the sense that great leaders are able to balance different perspectives and deal with contradictions fairly easily, because that's the reality of what we need to do as leaders in any organization, right? It's not just a bed of roses. There's a lot of challenges, and how you deal with those challenges and balance those conflicting priorities is very important. So I would say those are some of the very basic building blocks. And I think a manager that can, again, strive to deliver great results for the organization and bring out the best in the team as a collective, I think is what we encourage at Cadence as a leadership
Thanks,
concept.
Jaswinder. Yeah, very interesting. I think it's a really interesting one because we're seeing more and more in the work that we're doing ourselves around this, managers dealing with ever more complicated contradictions and polarities. So I think that's a really, really interesting point. I think Jaswinder, it kind of leads me on to my next question, I suppose, really, which is, ultimately, Cadence, what's coming out to me in this conversation and also conversations with some of your colleagues, over the last number of months is it's a really fascinating organization. And I suppose just to put you on the spot a little bit, if you were to stand in front of, a room of 100 potential top class candidates to join Cadence, and you were to kind of bring out 3 points as to why Cadence, what would the 3 points be that, you've been in this organization all of your life, really, all of your professional life. So what are those 3 things you'd stand up with confidence and, say to these potential employees that why it's a great place to be?
Of course. The first point is we've heard the phrase called, we are living in the golden age of electronics. And it's more true today than it's ever been in the past. Cadence is front and center working with our customers and partners to enable this golden age of electronics.
Yeah.
Having said that, if you're interested in solving deep technical problems and innovating, if you love working with incredibly smart and talented people around you, and you want to have fun doing it, Cadence is the place for you. It's as simple as that.
That's pretty good, Jaswinder. We'll write that. We'll write that up now as your kind of pitch. Your elevator pitch for Cadence. And Jaswinder, I suppose
that's what my experience has been.
So, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight the fact that you can ask some questions of Jaswinder at the end of the interview. I just want to call that out now. So I'm just going to kind of ask Jaswinder another question myself before we get into opening it out to the public. Jaswinder, I suppose you're at a really interesting time for Cadence. You guys are growing globally as a business, but very specifically a really interesting time for Cadence in Ireland. As you guys are kind of, developing out your, your R&D hub and your R&D activity in Ireland. Could you give us a little bit of sense, Jaswinder, of, the current kind of, Cadence presence in Ireland and, where you guys are trying to go, with that particular center here?
Yeah, great. Now, Cadence has had a presence in Ireland for over 20 years to begin with. We've had a shared services office in Dublin. Last year, we started a new center in Cork, which is a core R&D center. So that's something new for us. For us, we want to go wherever we have access to the best possible talent.
Yeah.
And being present here in Cork allows us to tap some of the smartest talent that's available in the broader European economic area. It's not just limited to Ireland locally, but the European economic area. And the people that we've been able to hire from all over the region over the last 1 year, I think it's just phenomenal talent that's available here. So we expect to grow this R&D center significantly. We are up to about 100 people here in our Cork center over the next few years, depending on our ability to, again, continue to hire smart people that will enable us to solve those very, very complex problems for our customers. I can easily see the center scaling up to about between 300 to 400 people.
Yeah, really interesting.
It's a very exciting time for us. This is our newest newest R&D center. We have R&D centers in other parts of the world, but you got to go where the talent is, and we are in Cork to tap the talent from Ireland and the broader European economic area.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jaswinder. There's lots of comments coming here, Jaswinder. Lots of nice compliments coming in here. Interestingly, I think people have picked up on and I'm going to ask this one I'm going to ask it in an indirect way. I see a few different things alluding to it, shall we say? But Jaswinder, in terms of your role as a as a corporate vice president, I know you're going to be spending some time, shall we say, between countries, and I see some comments here. What's your kind of current perspective, I suppose, in your time so far in Ireland? That's come up a bit here. So I'm just interested in your perspectives there, and what your experiences have been so far. I'm trying to pull together a few questions there into one, so hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I've been here for just under 2 months now, Barry, and I've absolutely loved my time here so far. Ireland, of course, has a lot to offer in terms of culture and other experiences. But what resonates the most with me is how very hospitable and wonderful the people in Ireland have been. I mean, both our team at Cadence and others that I've interacted with. I was speaking to one of our industry partners a short while ago, and he said something that connected with me. He said, Jaswinder, there's one thing common between people from India and people from Ireland. I said, what is it? He said, we both love to talk and love to eat. So I'm enjoying my time here and interacting with the people that I get a chance to meet. We're still, I'm in my apartment here in Cork. We're still working from home in the best interest of the health and safety of our employees. But I look forward to when I'm able to get out there and spend more time with our team and with the others in the community, and hopefully meet you face to face one of these days.
Absolutely, Jaswinder. Yeah, I was going to say that. Put me down into one of those diary meetings. Jaswinder, one that's coming up, which I think is a really interesting one, is kind of what you've had a long career. You're a senior leader, and what's one lesson that you kind of learned, I suppose, through your career? What's the lesson that you've kind of learned the hard way, I suppose? I'm just trying to summate that question. So, key lessons you've learned maybe through, some challenge that you had in your career in Cadence.
Not so much a challenge, Barry, but one of the most important lessons that I have learned in my career is you've got to be willing to go out on a limb for what you passionately believe in. Right. I think I know way too many people who hold back. They've got great ideas, they're passionate about doing things, but they hesitate, they hold back. And I think that's the one thing that limits us. So it's really the constraints that we place on ourselves. It's our own belief in ourselves that limits what we can accomplish and what we can achieve. And as I mentioned at the start of this conversation, what I learned at Cadence is that if you've got a great idea, if you're passionate about it, if you go and make a pitch for it, if it makes business sense, right? Cadence is an environment that will foster you, that will encourage you, that will help you realize. And I think that's very important for having a very fulfilling and satisfying career.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Jaswinder. Lots of nice comments coming here, Jaswinder. So I think they're most of the key questions. I've tried to. Sorry to anybody out there where I've kind of smudged your questions into one, but there was a few that were kind of linked there, Jaswinder. So Jaswinder, really, look, I'm going to say we're going to wrap it up now, because I think we've had you've got lots of nice comments, so that's the most important thing. So you've definitely interested people in some of your elements there as well. So I'd like to say, Jaswinder, on behalf of myself, Future Work Institute and CPL, I'm going to say thanks very much, guys. Cadence, from my interactions with the organization so far, highly innovative company, and totally, as Jaswinder mentioned, I'm meeting lots of problem solvers from Cadence over the last number of months. So you will find a link to the many opportunities with Cadence in the description as part of this interview. So please feel free to click through and have a look at all the great opportunities in Cadence at this moment in time. So Jaswinder, I'd love to just kind of say thank you very much. It's really great speaking to you. I very much look forward to speaking to you again soon. And with that, guys, I'll say thanks very much for tuning in, and thank you very much indeed, Jaswinder, for your time.
Thanks for the opportunity, Barry, and thanks to everyone else that signed in.
Thanks, Jaswinder.
Bye-bye.